We'll start with a circle for the head, a box for the muzzle, and a curving line, 2 rainbow curving lines for the neck. Then we'll have the shoulder come back and down like a little triangle, a long arc for the back, and a rounded rectangle for the back end. This animal is very boxy, like any other kind of deer. So we want to have that box-like shape. It's a little bit rounded as well. Then we'll have the legs come forward and back. And the other leg actually has a bend in it coming forward. So we'll just use stick figure legs for that, so we know where the legs go before trying to add the detail. When you then add the detail, you can use that as a guideline. That's the middle of your leg, almost like a bone that you're following down to create the finished leg. Make sure that you have this little bump in the back of the leg. That's kind of a toe that's high up in the air. And then the hooves are divided into 2 pieces. They have 2 toes there in the front. The knees are very knobbly, so I like to draw 2 half circles, almost like parentheses, little curves. And then make sure that your hooves line up, that they're all on the same ground. The leg coming back, we'll have a little knob for the knee, and then it'll bend backwards right at the bottom. So that's a little bit strange if you've never drawn it before, to have that little bend right there. And then the chest comes out into the neck area, and we need to add the ears and horns, so arcing outward in a leaf shape for the ear there, a leaf shape for the ear there, and then some nice twisty curly horns. You might have seen an antelope at the zoo or on TV, and they have these really neat curving horns like that. So they curve out, back, and then up. This one we see a little more from the side, so it just curves up and then back. Their eyes are very, very large, and again, that's a leaf shape. We'll color that in later. They have very large noses too, their big nostrils coming out, and a division to their upper lip, and a little chin coming down from that. So dip the chin down, up again, and then around for the jaw. Once you have these details, we want to show where the color changes, because we're going to go ahead and color this. So where does the color change? There's a large dark area on the top, so I'll draw a light line there. It doesn't need to be a very dark line. And then that ends around the neck area. So that's going to be a very dark brown. The belly is white, so I'll draw an area to leave white, also on the leg. There's a little bit of white, and on the front we see a little bit of white area. That's mainly the white area, and then around the eye we'll see almost like an eyebrow of white, and below it as well. Okay, and inside the ears a little bit of white. Once you have all this finished, you are going to want to slightly erase it. That seems a bit strange, but you do want to see your lines. But when you're coloring, you don't want a lot of those lines showing as much. So I'm going to heavily erase the lines that I don't need, the bone of the leg that I don't need anymore, and I'm going to lightly erase the other lines here. With my dark brown, I'm adding sections to the horn so I can shade it in. I can draw this with pencil first if I want, or I can just add these jagged sections, just piece by piece, little boxes. They don't have to be very regular, but you do want some of those little sections there. And then we're going to go ahead and shade it in with that same brown to start with. So we're going to shade on the front and on the bottom to get that nice feeling of shadow on these horns. I'm not shading in the whole thing. I'm leaving a little bit white I think that'll look nicer, like there's a little highlight. I can add some more dark brown to that later, but I'm going to continue the dark brown down to the face area and leaving around the eye blank. I'm just going to do the top of the face area here. So just a little bit of that dark brown right on top, and then I'm going to do that dark brown following that light line I did earlier of the little cape shape almost that's colored in here. So I've added the lighter color and started adding in this really dark brown for the eye, the tips of the ears, the nose area. So you're just going to build up your colors wherever you see that darker area. I might add a little bit here to the horns to darken up that shadow. I would just observe from a photo, a video, or if I did go to a zoo, I could see what colors. So even though you could say this antelope is brown, it's many different shades of brown. We're seeing a lot of shades of brown in different areas on this antelope. So once we have those areas all set up, we can blend a little bit and add more detail, or if you're happy, you can certainly stop where you are and just say, I'm done. I have a simple antelope, it's colored in. I don't need to go any further. But if you do decide to go further, I think you can have a lot of fun with it. So we've got our darker areas blocked in there in a few areas, and we're gonna put that marking. It does have a darker marking in front of the eye and a little bit in back of the eye. We can add some gray to the white parts to make sure that that really doesn't just look like the paper and it's kind of blank and blah, but that has a little bit of shading. I'm going to add a little bit of the dark brown to the middle of this medium brown section to just make that a little bit darker there, make it look a little bit more rounded. I think that'll look really nice. I can continue to use other colors in other areas, such as the medium brown. I can bring it down the legs a little bit and just give it a nice look by adding one color on top of the other. So this is a good starting point to start out. Trying out some colored pencils. You don't really have to be special colored pencils, but if you do use a soft colored pencil, it does make the blending a little bit easier. So I'm using the Prismacolors. There's other brands of soft colored pencils you can certainly use to get this effect. You can just try it though with a regular colored pencil or even crayons or markers and just see what you get. Layering is just the most important thing, so if you can try to layer, I think you'll get a nice look. So after a few more layers of adding some different colors, reddish brown, yellowish brown, you don't have to use the same colors that I'm using, certainly, to get a good result. Just try looking at a photo or a real animal on a video or at the zoo, and you can get a nice look. But the key is use a variety of colors. So even if you say, oh, it's just a brown antelope or a brown deer or a brown dog, you're going to want to look closer and see, can I see more than just one color? Are there many colors waiting to be discovered in this animal? So in this case, our antelope is fading from a dark brown to a lighter brown, and there's some reddish in there, there's some yellow in there, and we can get a nice look by just adding a few more colors and not just having one plain color for the whole thing. You can always use a lighter color to blend a darker color, so you can get in there with a light beige color and blend in those colors if you're using soft colored pencils. If you're just layering, that's fine too. But I just wanted to show you this technique and see if you'd like to give it a try.